Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast folk. Those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man. How would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't repping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man. Don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the Figure Booth podcast show. You've made it to another episode. Welcome. And what we do here, if you're new, we talk about the ups and downs of modern day collectors. We go over pre-orders. We share our weekly hauls, which we call Plastic Confessions. And from time to time, we do interviews with those in the toy world and the toy community, like this one today. This episode, we got somebody special for you guys. My name is Josh, aka Prime to the First. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Nate.
Hey guys, it's Nate, aka FigureFan_Nate, and you've reached episode 57, which we're calling Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Oh, and we're not talking about cereal.
Could that be?
Not cereal, but this person should be a household name. You guys should know him from coast to coast. There's even rumors that he could be two individuals, but there's only one. The man, the myth, the legend. Customs by Matchu. We got him.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome to the Figure Booth.
Thank you for having me. I love the show, so it's very exciting to be here.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here. But before we dive in, what's your favorite cereal?
I am a huge cereal fan, so you're asking the right person. I kind of jump around a bit. It depends on what I'm feeling. But I would say if I had to absolutely just pick one, I could probably eat mini wheats for like the rest of my life. So
whoa, I was not expecting that.
Non-frosted,
right?
regular.
No, you gotta have frosted.
Frosted.
I like the sugar frosting, but the brown sugar one's good too. But,
nice.
Yeah. Okay. Nate, what about I'm actually a big cereal aficionado myself.
Oh, nice.
Have you tried Magic Spoon, Customs by Matchu?
No, I know what it is though, because I always see the commercials on Toy Galaxy. So
I was scrolling Instagram one day and I came across these Magic Spoon ads, and their big thing is like, hey, we're a healthy cereal. I'm like, that doesn't exist. So I started looking at it and I was reading into it, and I decided to take a chance. They had like a summer deal going on, and I got like 6 boxes of cereal.
Wow.
And they're amazing. Yeah, it's like they taste really good, and they're a lot better than like normal cereal, because my go-to is usually Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's
I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch too.
Man, that's crazy. Those Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Apple Jacks. Those are my two.
Apple Jacks.
You guys have cool cereals in the States though. Like I'm up in Canada, right? I'm not saying we don't have cool ones, but like some of our stuff's different. So it's like your guys' corn pops. I like corn pops a lot too. Mm-hmm. They're a completely different thing than ours. Like they're in no way the same.
Is it
very weird?
Like labeling, but different flavors?
Yeah, same labeling, looks the same. I mean, little differences, but it's just a different cereal. Like your guys' is very different from ours, so it's weird. We have that with a couple different things, but
that's interesting.
I know, I love cereal. I got to give that Magic Spoon stuff a try, because I heard it's like got way less sugar, right?
Yeah, a lot less sugar, protein. They don't use a lot of grains. It's gluten-free, which I don't really care if it's gluten-free, but
yeah.
That's a plus.
I'm like you. I'm a big fan of cereal. I eat it pretty frequently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, if I'm going to eat it this much, I'm going to try to get something that's maybe a bit more
healthier.
Healthy. Yeah.
Hey, when somebody orders 6 boxes of cereal, they're invested. They're serious about cereal. So
I mean, like it's pretty similar to me. It's like I'll go to a grocery store and I check out and I have like four especially if they're on sale, because cereal's so expensive here right now. So it's like. If there's a bunch of it, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just stock up. And then I just see them like kind of looking at me. I'm like, don't judge me. Like,
right.
You know, you buy this much cereal too.
Yeah. When you eat cereal, you buy it in bulk because you usually get a better deal.
That's true.
Exactly.
That is true. I usually get cereal from Costco. So
they have deals where you can do like 6 boxes or 4 on Magic Spoon, or you can just order one. But you're gonna have it shipped, so might as well.
Yeah.
Especially for me, I'll probably pay more because it's coming to Canada. So
but like, give me a pallet of cereal. So guys, let us know what your favorite cereal is down below. If you do like cereal on a Sunday, what better place? Bring your bowl of cereal, listen to Customs by Matchu as we dive into his history, and hit that like button and let us know what's your favorite cereal.
Cereal booth.
Clang those spoons for Customs by Matchu. Clang. I want to hear it
against the bowl,
coast to coast. Yeah. Let's give it up for him, guys.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was a fun little deviation. Even though I love talking about cereal, that's not why we have you here.
No,
Matt. You are, like Prime said, very well known in the community for what you do. You're a master of customs. And one of the things I was going to ask you is if you have like a running total, because I was trying to count and I don't even know if I can count all of them.
I do have a running total. I just have to consult my list.
Wow. That's awesome.
I mean, you have a website for anybody that's listening. If you want to, like, you can check out his Instagram, but he also does have a website, customsbymatchu.com, where you can actually see his entire gallery of stuff. I mean, he's got so many customs. It blows my mind how much experience you actually do really have.
Yeah.
With making customs.
I've been doing it for a long time. So, I mean, really, when you break it down over the years, it's, I used to pump out a lot more, but as I have kind of like fine-tuned my craft, it becomes more difficult to put out 35 customs a year and kind of gets down closer to 18 or 19, 20 in that area. So yeah, you learn as you move along, and, in learning, it ends up creating a longer process because, you're putting more time into it. So yeah, I pump out about 20 customs a year right now. So, and my running total right now, I just finished Professor X. That Professor X I posted yesterday, a couple of days ago, and that was number 142. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea I got. Snap, Crackle, Pop. Those are actually customizer techniques that are off the books.
I got that.
Yeah.
Well, and then it leaded right into cereal.
I wondered what
it went right into cereal.
So.
Snap, Crackle, Pop. Yeah. And I think that, like, for me, and I think for all collectors, like, it's almost like we take this journey, right? We start collecting, and there's ultimately like a crossroads we come up to where it's like we're going to be either a toy photographer like Nate, or you're going to be like a dial maker or a prop maker like myself, or you're going to be a customizer like yourself. Like, these are the kind of the journeys we can choose. Either you go to the Jedi or the Sith, or you do all this stuff. But we all find ourselves at that one pivotal moment where you try to take. I know I've attempted to customize, and my hands get shaky. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna break this figure, because I've seen some videos where you're like, hey, you gotta pop the torso, or you gotta break this or snap that, and I'm like, nope, or heat up. I remember I've had some interaction when I first dabbled in customizing. I heated up some Toy Biz heads and tried to pop them off. As soon as I took the heat gun off, it was so hot, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. It's not for me. And there's a lot of tips and tricks, obviously, but there's a lot of trial and error that can be kind of painful, or if you don't have the patience for it, like I was just obviously too scared to. I saw it like I was breaking my figs, because then once I would try to put them together, the vision I had, it wouldn't come out. So I would rather pay somebody else to do it, because then obviously they have that talent because they've put in the practice, like in your case.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a big part of the hobby, though, is just like finding, there's been many times where I plan something out in my head, and then I get to the final product, and I'm just like, this is not what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely, you learn by mistake, right? There's lots of times where I've taken, again, and even just in fine tuning my craft, there's lots of times where it's like, I think, oh, this is going to work really good, and then it ends up, creating more work or damaging a figure beyond repair. I've had lots. Even a custom I'm working on right now, I still have lots of times where I do rookie mistakes, and it's just I'm working on this Night Thrasher right now.
Ooh,
it's like a 90s style, the one where he had the retractable billy claws, or the billy clubs.
Yeah.
I was using a Darkhawk figure, which, they're not expensive, but they're also not cheap. And I left it in instead of like boiling it, I don't use a heat gun. I've melted way too many figures that way. So I've stopped. But I usually use like a steamer. That's how I take my figures apart. I don't do direct hot water on the figures. I steam it, like a steam bath. And I left it in for a bit too long, and I warped the torso to beyond repair. So I ended up having to go and spend another like $50 on just to get a torso. Like, and I'm just frustrating.
And that's like I've seen and heard stories where like you go down those paths where you're like you take a gamble, and now you're like, man, but you're so committed to like this idea, which I really love. That's the part I love of a lot of the customizers, where they take the time to learn that craft. And maybe the first time it doesn't come out as great as you envisioned it, but I've seen a lot of individuals out there where they just post their progress and they stay consistent. But I mean, for your case, I've just been blown away since day one. Ever since I saw that modular Iron Man, I was like, okay, I went from like creeper to like super creeper, and then I was like, that modular Iron Man. I think I took a screenshot, put it up on my wall. I was like working out, looking at it. I was like, man, I want that. Like, it was, and that was way before Hasbro had announced the modular.
Yeah, that was well before.
Way before, and I was like, I need that in my life.
That was a fun one. I had a good time with that one.
There's a few customs that you go back through your feed and you seem like you're ahead of the game, or at least maybe somebody's talking to you at Hasbro like, oh, maybe this is our idea, and you're like, oh, I'm going to do that first. Yeah. Like one of the ones that comes to mind is you did that 12-inch Sentinel.
Yeah. I melted that one's torso.
Oh no. Using a heat gun or what?
Using a heat gun. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, you did that before the HasLab. I know, obviously, you did get the HasLab eventually.
Yeah.
But I kind of imagine like an exec at Hasbro, like, holy shit, look at this guy's custom. We can make that a HasLab,
I think it's funny because I remember the one that really stood out to me the most was I did a strong guy well before we got the Build-A-Figure. Mm-hmm. And when it came out, there was just so many things that were just so similar. And I'm just like, oh my God, I feel like they were just looking at it when they were designing it. But then I also realized, I'm like, one of the things that I kind of pride myself on is I'm a stickler for source accuracy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I generally won't take a shortcut to like make a figure just so I don't have to sculpt something. It's like, oh, if this is close enough, I'll use it. I'm generally like, I want it to be perfect. So, with Strong Guy, it was like literally a full sculpt. So in a sense, I'm just kind of like, they probably just looked at source material, and that's why it looks so familiar, because like that's what I did, right? Yeah. So, so I mean, I feel like it's probably a lot of that too. But sometimes there are times where I just see something and I'm like, ooh, that's me, man. I did that like 2 years ago.
And I think that speaks volume, because like you stick to the source, and a lot of customizers find themselves in that same spot where they're like, oh, they copied me. But at the end of the day, like we're all using this, we're referencing. That just shows like we're on the same page. Like that's, to me, I'm like, that's great that your custom was so close to the source, and it may have influenced, it may not, but at the end of the day, like the masses was able to get something as close. It's probably not going to be as great as the custom, So a lot of times, I'm on the fence when certain customizers are like, oh, Hasbro's copying me. And there's two sides to that coin, because a lot of collectors don't want to pay the price for a customized figure. And totally. I think unless you've done it yourself, and you've gone through the trials, or you've spent the time or the time learning the skill, that's what you're paying for. That's why these prices are what they are. And you can't expect to pay $20 to get a fully customized sculpt, good paint. Then you might as well wait for Hasbro to pump out something. And it's, to me, that's just mind blowing how the collectors are like, oh, why do the customizers charge so much? I'm like, take a stab at it. Try to learn, do it yourself. It's much more harder.
Try it out and see how it turns out for yourself.
Yeah. It's time consuming.
Very time consuming. Yeah.
You could pay me $20 and I'll use my Sharpie.
You'll do some Sharpieing.
Exactly. Or you could use a guy like Matt here that has 142 customs under his belt and get something that's a better quality.
Yeah.
It's been a bummer because it's like, I hate saying no. I get asked commissions a lot, like way more than I could ever handle. And it's like, I would love to be able to say yes to everybody, but I just I don't have the time. And it makes it tricky. But I ultimately a figure takes 30 plus hours at minimum. So it's just it's a labor of love. It's you know, I'm pretty picky and choosy with the commissions I take because of that reason. If I have to spend that much time with it, I don't want to spend 30 hours hating something. I don't.
Yeah.
So I just recently did like 3 kind of like, I call them like easy customs, because they were just like, I didn't fully prep all the joints, because like some of it I used like, you know, the skin tone from you know, I did like I used a gung ho to make a Reese Reaver like everybody else did, but but I had so much fun doing them. I actually said to some of my buddies, I'm like, man, I need to like take easier commissions. Like I probably have a blast with that. I always look at the things that are like the most challenging. I'm like, okay, how the hell would I do that? And yeah, I'm kind of, after I did those 3, I had so much fun with them, and I'm just like, I want to do more of that. So I think next year I'm really going to put a lot of focus into commissions next year. This year I'm probably only going to get to squeeze out a couple because I'm doing a lot of figure swaps with friends. So that's kind of where I overcommitted on the figure swaps this year. Usually I only do a couple. This year I think I got like 7 on board or something. So so yeah, so I think next year I'm gonna just drop the swaps with friends, probably just keep 1 or 2 of them, and then really just put some energy into commissions. So because I've been saying no for like a year, and it'd be nice to say yes to some stuff. So
well, you say you still do 20 a year, and that's a good amount considering how long it takes you to do that.
Yep.
You know,
I work a lot at it. Like
I would imagine you have to have at least maybe 2 or 3 in process at one time. Yes. Just to hit that 20 mark.
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of have rules around that, Nate. So like my general rule of thumb is like, you know, I treat completing a custom like a present to allow me to start a new one. So, you know, I see a lot of customizers, and again, there's no shade. Everyone has their system and it works, and you know, you have to work on the thing that you're passionate about. So no judgment at all, but it's like, I know a lot of people personally have like, you know, 20 projects on the go, and I'm like, how do you finish anything? Like I could never. Like as soon as I get stumped, I would be like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore, and then into a bin it goes. And I don't do that. Like I have, you know, at the most I'll have you know, 5 figures on the go at a time, and in that situation it's usually just I'll have a couple figures like prepped and ready to go. So like I've taken them apart, I've dremeled them, I've sanded them, I've put them all back together, and then they're like ready to sculpt. But I do that because I live in an apartment building, so I have to really pick and choose when I'm going to use my Dremel. It's loud, you know, my neighbors probably don't love it. I have to kind of do it during the daytime, and like it's a small apartment, so like my wife's like, you really have to be doing that on my like day off. Like, I have to be smart about my time, right? So
wait, you have a life outside of customs?
A little bit.
You don't do customs 24/7?
Very small.
When I commission you, you should just be doing my commission and then send it to me the very next day, the minute the payment's sent. That's the crazy part, like that I think a lot of us collectors, we forget, like you're dealing with another person and we're doing this out of the fun fact that we love the hobby, right? Yeah. And most of us, like myself, I have a 9 to 5. Like I don't just do arcades 24/7. I don't just live in my garage, like, you know, cutting wood and doing all, like, it's just crazy. It's so funny hearing you saying like you have to say no, or you're aware of the time of your neighbors and stuff like that. Like those are things. Like I got 2 little ones, you know, they have their own hobbies. I gotta bust them around between me and my wife. We gotta, you know, schedule things out, and the wife has a list for the honeydew list that I still have to tackle. Those are all. And you think I'm gonna tell somebody that comes out to me and be like, hey, I want to get this arcade. Oh, here's the am I gonna fit you in my agenda? I do say yes, but I'm gonna tell them like, hey, you gotta be patient. And that's a lot of times what we try to get across is, guys, when you guys reach out to customizers, whether it's a action figure or a diorama, like that time frame, like you're not dealing with Hasbro or something that you order on Amazon. I've had a couple experiences where like they're like, hey, I haven't got an update. It's been like 3 days. I'm like, yeah, I've been at work
because I have a life.
I've been at work, and I don't know if you've seen me, but it was Enablers Day yesterday, and those effers had me on for like 3 hours
all night. Yeah,
like hello, like we were both in the same stream, like we were in the Toy Migos chat, we were chatting. I was killing some time, like you were. Like, come on, guys, we're all collectors. Like, cut me some slack. That's the crazy part. So I love that you bring, you know, it's like, hey, I gotta think about my neighbors, I gotta think about my wife, my living, like those are all things that a lot of us we forget. We're just like, I want my figure, I want my customizer, my Night Thrasher, and I sent you the payment. Have you shipped it yet? It's like, come on, that's crazy.
Right.
I'm pretty good at divorcing bad customers, to be honest with you. I have no problem returning money and saying, you know what?
Yep.
You are not worth this.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, not at all.
And like the thing is, like, I'm super straightforward. I love to talk shop. So in most cases, my customers get way more updates than they would ever think they would. So, I did a custom for a buddy of mine. It was my wife's work partner. My wife works in advertising, and she worked with a partner, and he did my logo for me. So in return, I made him a custom of himself. He's not an action figure collector. He's just, he just likes nerdy stuff. And so we kind of did a trade. So he did a bunch of logos and work on the side for me, and I did stuff for him. And he was like, man, this is such a cool process to see, like, step by step. Every day there's a little bit more, and it's just like super cool. And so I love to talk shop. So usually customers get more updates from me than they want to, because I'm just like, hey, look how sweet this looks. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it works in my favor that way. But I don't know. I don't have the patience for people who are, and another thing that bugs me is I don't like people who book me to make work for them and then tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, look, you're coming to me.
Yeah.
You're asking me to use my skills to do something for you. Don't tell me how to do this. Like, I don't need your help.
Yeah.
And if you've got an issue with that, we can end here. That's
let's at the end of the day,
I'll happily keep you in the loop and give you the chance to put your feedback in and tell me what you like, what you don't like. I always give the opportunity, but I'm not running circles for you. It just ain't happening. So don't tell me how to do this. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, you're an artist, so you're paying not only for what you can do with customs, but you're also paying for, like, the brain that's up there. Like, I want to see your creative vision.
Yeah.
So when you start putting those roadblocks on artists, you're going to limit the creativity that they can provide you, I think. So you're almost like hurting yourself.
I've only had it happen once where I had to say to somebody, like, yeah, this ain't going to work for me, man. Sorry.
Wow.
And I didn't even give him a chance to kick back. I returned his money, and I said,
you didn't give him a chance to wine and dine you. He was like, I'm sorry. No, sorry. Nope. We're done.
The writing was on the wall, and like, he had already started, and I literally just PayPal'd him his deposit back, and I said, we're good. We're done. We're not doing
your
this
stuff
anymore.
is outside the apartment. It's in the lawn. Go. Bye.
Well, no, you don't
already changed the locks.
You're getting your money back. So
I already changed the locks. You can't come in.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
I respect that, though, because, like, on the other side of it, you could just keep saying yes and taking people's money.
Oh, yeah.
I used to.
And creating this backlog, and then find out, oh, okay, I won't be able to deliver on 10 of these customs.
Yeah.
Here's all these refunds. That's.
And you see that too in the community. You see, like, up and coming customizer. So, like, from your perspective and with your experience, what are, like, the 3 tips for that new collector or that new customer that's just stepping in? Because I feel like every, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, what season you're in. And I feel like every once in a while, there's someone hot and new, whether it's a customizer or a dial maker or a toy photographer, and, like, everybody wants them. Either everyone likes their shots, or everyone wants their dial, or everybody wants, them to paint their head sculpts or do a custom. So what would be your 3 tips to this, like, new up and coming customizer? What would be your 3 tips?
So I think, like, the biggest thing I kind of live by is I always say, keep it realistic. So, I see a lot of customizers. I had a guy reach out to me a long time ago, and he asked me to make him a Rhino from Spider-Man Spider-Man the movie one, the tech one,
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man one.
And I was like, nah, man, I'm not touching that. That's ridiculous. That's too much. And so he reached out about a month later, and he's like, hey, man, I'm learning customizing. Can you give me some tips and blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. I kind of we had a quick chat and whatever. And he's like, hey, I'm going to start working on this Rhino. And I was just like, so you're a brand new customizer, and you're going to tackle something that is, like, you literally have to build that from scratch. Like, there's nothing available to start you off there. Like, you're working way out of your abilities, man. Like, and I find that that's like it's a guaranteed way to get frustrated, and it's a guaranteed way for you to leave your experience super sour. So I always say is, like, be reasonable. Start reasonable. I was doing my live stream yesterday, and Marcus Yee, actually one of the guys that kind of joins in on the chat Migos and all that stuff. He was kind of talking about like how he got frustrated. He was working on some accessories for his Mythic Legions or something, and he was like, I got super frustrated and I haven't gone back. And I said, man, you need to step away. You need to do stuff that you know you can deliver on and you can be happy with. And then you build up your confidence, you build up your skills, even if it doesn't seem like it's a lot. Like baby steps are going to get you there, right? And it's you're gonna walk away when you do something within your abilities feeling pretty good. Like you could walk away and it may not be perfect, but like that would lead me to like my next thing, which is like, as I was learning how to customize, my kind of rule of thumb was I would take the thing I liked about the custom I just completed and the thing I hated the most about the custom I completed. And I would say the thing I like, that needs to be present on the next one I finish. The thing I hate, that needs to be better than the previous. Doesn't have to be perfected because it's again, it's not realistic, but I always try to like I strive and I still 8 years later I stick to that rule. The thing that I hate about the last one, that's the focus for the next one. It's how do I make sure that that's better than last time.
Right, always trying to set the bar a little bit higher.
Awesome.
And within reach. It has to be within reach.
Right. Like you said, keep it realistic.
Because you're gonna get frustrated, and frustration and customizing is not a great combo.
So awesome. So there you guys have it. Realistic expectations and hopefully some takeaways, like pros and cons. And it's crazy because that totally makes sense. As I'm hearing you talk, I remember I tried customizing, didn't like it. I didn't like cracking torsos and I watched a bunch of videos. I'm like, I could do this, and I was with my Dremel and stabbed my thumb, or I was like, I was getting injured left, and my wife's like, hey, no power tools. So I stepped away from like trying to do, and then man, to your point, I was like, my first thing, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and and I told one of my friends, and he's like, dude, that involves a lot of sculpting. I don't even know how to sculpt. So right there, the bar was so high that I was already setting myself up to fail. So I cracked open the chest, and I was swapping parts and all that, and I put it all back together, and it looked like crap. It looked like a Frankenstein bath. And then and then my friend's like, okay, now you got to sculpt. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? Like, what do I have to buy? All the stuff. So I did a bunch of research, slapped on a bunch of this stuff. It looked like trash. So then I was like, I suck at it. Like, I'd rather just pay somebody. And I did. I had to fork over some money, paid it, was much happier with that experience, and I didn't get frustrated. But I turned back and I was like, what did I like about that though? I did like the painting aspect of it, right? So I had messed with some it wasn't Procreate, it was the other
green stuff.
Not green stuff. It comes in a white. Yeah, milliput. I messed with some milliput, and I attempted to sculpt like a beard. It came out decent on one of the Marvel Legends. I sculpted like a little beard on him, and I painted him black, right? So like the beard was black, the hair was black. It was a Jonah Jameson head sculpt. I think it was the chameleon that came with the 3 heads.
Oh yeah, okay.
I gave him a beard. I made him like a goon. But then I had to repaint his skin color, right? And again, using the paint choices, it came out super. Was already on. Yeah, after the beard was on, it was like yellowish, and it looks. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Threw it on, took some pictures, and I was like, this looks like trash. Put it away. I put it away. I haven't seen it like in a couple years. I want to say like 2 years ago, maybe, or last year. I was like, let me go back to just painting like head sculpts, and I resin printed just a bunch of skulls. And I was like, let me just start from like the foundations. Let me just start primering. Let me really take my time. Let me just do it when I'm in a good mindset. And like this is one of them.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it came out great.
Yeah.
And like I did some shading. I did some. You can see like the shadows on the side. Yeah, so for those audio listeners, I'm showing a skull, and I did different techniques. Like I did some washes. I used different colors that, again, taking the time I was watching some sideshow artist paint, showing like what type of colors they mix. I was watching just actual artists doing like canvas, like they're using a lot of reds and pinks, and I was taking a bunch of notes. I'm like, all right, let me approach this and let me just paint the skull, and like different layers and all sorts of different avenues where I wasn't just looking at action figure painters, but I was looking at actual everything,
right? Painting, right? As a whole.
Yeah. Right. And then it's just applying it to skull. And I had like 8 of these, and every day I would just paint one a different color. I'm like, oh, let me do some green washes, and just having fun, not really focusing on the end product. And yeah, I really freaking love how these guys turned out.
Yeah, see, that's a great example of it. It's all about something that you can be proud of at the end, right? And it's
getting rid of like,
real,
I'm gonna make some really dope heads like skulls. Nope, I was like, you know what? I just want to have fun painting and see what happens and do different washes and experiment. I had more of a like experiment type of a mindset. So to your point, like those are great tips. Like just setting the bar much more like realistic, and then having some takeaways and like kind of like reflecting on those takeaways. Like, what did I like about that? What didn't I like? And I know I can't sculpt worth the crap, so that's why I don't do it. But I do love to paint, so I'm like, I'll just stick with what I can paint. And for now, I love painting these head sculpts or these skulls.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've talked about before. Is like, you know, if you're interested in a specific part of the hobby, like you're talking about toy photography or customizing or you know, whatever it is, you have to start somewhere. And it's unrealistic, to Matt's point, to think you're going to start customizing and being a Customs by Matchu. Or you're going to start toy photography and you're going to be a D Amazing. Or, you know, whatever it is, you're going to start doing live streams and you're going to be toying around. Like, it's just, it doesn't start like that out of the gate. You have to build your skill set. You have to like focus on, okay, this time I'm maybe going to try something small. Let me just do painting and see how that turns out. And then once you get that down, like, okay, let me try sculpting a beard, to Prime's point, you know, and let me try breaking this guy's torso and see if I can change that. You know, like you got to keep building on that skill set so that down the line you can say, okay, now I'm going to do something that requires like probably 4 or 5 of these different skills that I've learned. Let me combine all this together and create something awesome. You know, it's just like, like for people that are getting started, you got to set those realistic expectations and you got to have the passion for it. Because if you don't have the passion and you're not willing to take the time to learn, you're never going to get there. You know,
it's so easy to lose the passion when it's not going the way you think it's going to. That's the hardest part, is like, and again, that's where it comes to setting your expectations somewhere that's achievable. And there's nothing wrong with making something easy. There's nothing wrong with making an easy custom. And like, I always say that, like, there's multiple different kinds of customizers. There's customizers who are incredibly knowledgeable about different parts in use, and like they can get away with not even doing prep on a figure just because they're smart in the parts they use. They use the base bodies Hasbro has provided us and made it so they don't have to prep joints. They don't have to paint it black because the plastic's black. So they're going to just add their details, sculpt the little bits on top of it, right? And you know, I always say, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with New Collector Customs. He's a good friend of mine, but like he's a really, really good example of that. He knows how to use the parts that are available to make something that looks like an official figure because it's using official figure parts. And then he just adds in his pieces where he needs to. And they look official. They look awesome. And it's just, they always look clean. They always look good. And he's knowledgeable. He's smart. He knows his pieces and plays it to his advantage. And his figures end up looking like so professional because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point. And speaking of, like, how did you get started doing this? Like, what made you want to? Yeah, what's your why exactly? How did you get started?
It all started. So, like, I've always loved toys and collected toys. There was there's probably only 8 years of my life where I didn't collect toys. That was when I was kind of poor and doing the band thing. It's not really, you know, cool to collect toys, right? So especially when you're in a punk band, it's not that cool.
We've all gone through the it's not cool to collect phase.
It's not cool. Yeah. So I started like seriously collecting like this probably about eight years ago. And it was right about when the Ultimate Green Goblin wave came out, when Hasbro was kind of starting with more of the like updated sculpts, not the old Toy Biz style ones.
Those ankle rockers.
Yeah. And like it was, you know, I'm a huge X-Men fan. And at that time, Marvel was doing anything they could to suppress X-Men and push Inhumans. And I got these awesome figures. I used to collect the old 5-inch Toy Biz ones, so I had a lot of X-Men stuff. And all I wanted was just like, I want I got the first figure I got from the new Legends was Carnage from that Ultimate Green Goblin wave.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want this, but X-Men. And they didn't have it. So I just started making customs. And I think you guys actually alluded to it a few weeks ago about, the community. We are in an awesome community. And I think Nate had maybe said it, but you said, like, reach out to the people who you admire, reach out to those people, right? And a lot of, like, there's a lot of people who have huge followings and they don't have the time, but like, there always is one or two that will get back to you. And that's what I did. I see something I like and I'd say, hey man, how did you do that? Like, just out of curiosity, right? And they point me in the right direction, or sometimes I just ignore you, and that happens. But I kind of just little bit by bit and just kind of learned a bit. And my kind of first thing I started with was I made a blue and gold X-Men team. I made a big to-do list and I said, this is what I want. And I just started at the top and just started knocking them out one at a time. And then eventually, when I was starting to feel more comfortable in what I was doing, I would be like, okay, 2 at a time or 3 at a time. And just until the point where I could pump them out at a little bit more quicker rate. But I did all the blue team, all the gold team. I did all of X Factor. I did a couple from X-Force, and then I got to the point where they were starting to put out X-Men more regularly, and I was like, all right, I think I can back off on this now a bit and do some other stuff. I also got kind of got the itch to do more difficult work from doing. I do the Whoosh, Secret Santa, and Summer Swap figure swaps, and I got a list one year that was just so challenging. Like, it had no X-Men, it had nothing that I was familiar with, and it really made me step outside of my box and be like, oh geez, what am I gonna do? And I ended up making a figure that was just so it was just wild. It's Jeff from Scud the Disposable Assassin. So it's like this giant monster wearing a striped sweater with a squid strapped to its chest with a electrical outlet for a head and faces on its kneecaps with hands for feet.
Yeah, definitely not X-Men.
It was bonkers, man. It was like the craziest project I ever did. And it actually went to a friend who, like, I chat with him every day now. Like, we're literally BFFs because of it. And I blame my abilities on him in a big way, because he really made me push the envelope and made me step out of it. And once I kind of did that, I started getting the itch to, like, expand and do more, But I mean, like, I can paint blue and yellow like a champ, like, you know what I mean?
It's sleep,
like I've done so much blue and yellow that, like, that I just it's ridiculous. So I would say that's sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, when you were doing that X-Men team, was it mostly painting? Were you just trying to start with something with, okay, I'm gonna focus on painting, or were you adding layers of complexity? Okay.
Minor sculpting. So, like, I got pretty good at doing the leg straps, like a lot of the 90s X-Men have, like, the yellow leg straps with the little tabs on them and stuff. I kind of, again, you could kind of see from the beginning to as I moved through, you could see the progression of even the sculpting on some of that stuff, right?
So you mastered leg straps and pockets.
That's right. Leg straps, pockets,
pouches, right? A lot of pouches. That was all 90s. Thanks, Liefeld.
Yep, exactly. So, but it's just you kind of get bored of doing one thing, and then it just moves you into the next thing, and then again with those swaps, it puts you in a place where you're not comfortable, and you have to do something different. You don't really get a choice because you can't flake, right? So you got to
swaps. One of the swaps you did that I really like, and I think it's from 2018, is the Rash figure from Battletoads.
Dude, I just posted that too as a throwback.
Yeah, you did like a throwback on it, and I found it on your gallery here. But one of the things I think is really cool about it is the swappable face plates. I have to ask, how the hell did you do that? Like, what did you use?
Yeah, it was a tricky one. So I didn't want to. So again, it's me trying to think of a way to not do the hard work over and over again. I wanted to have multiple facial expressions. I had to sculpt the face, the whole head, basically from scratch. And I was like, I really don't want to sculpt this 3 times. But I wanted to have kind of like a cool face, and I wanted to have an angry face, and I wanted to kind of have like a stoic face. So I decided that since the design of the face, the yellow part that is the mouth, kind of wraps around, I was like, how can I make this so I can just maybe swap them out? And at the time, I was really getting into playing with magnets. And that's kind of what happened. I put a magnet in the face, and then I put a magnet on top of it under a piece of like wax paper, and then I sculpted like the mouth, sculpted that, let it dry, take it off, sand up the edges, paint it, and then you kind of can do the swappable mouth plates. But yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, when you have the plates on there, you can't even tell it's a face plate until you pop it off. You're like, oh shit, that whole thing comes off.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a head sculpt because the way that you molded it into the sunglasses and it blends so well with the rest of his face.
Well, the sunglasses were the saving grace, right? Because there were some spots that weren't as perfect, but because it's like black sunglasses, the shadow kind of like helps hide some of those little imperfections on the top. Wow. But they were pretty close because, again, right, like I sculpted the head without the face, without the mouth, and then I put a piece of saran wrap over it and put a magnet on top, and then sculpted on top of that so it fit the face perfectly. So when I peeled the saran wrap off, the sculpt just came with it. Wow. And then it had a magnet in it, so it fit snugly to the face, and it just, it worked. It worked good.
That's insane. Yeah, and you could have just stopped by making Slash himself. But you took it even a step further by doing like, when you're playing Battletoads, or they're doing like big moves or something, they usually have like a huge fist or a huge foot. So you included like bigger hands and a bigger foot to do those moves. So like you even took it a step further by doing that. That's just insane to me.
Believe it or not, cool. That actually started as a Spider-Man UK, the whole figure. So I sculpted all the hands, all the feet. I fully resculpted the body, I did the whole head. Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. Is the Secret Santa something that's still going on, or?
Yeah. So actually, I help host it now. So so it's always been on the Foosh forum. Last year, I started helping Ethan Supley Customs, who's been running it for 10, 11 years this year. Wow. And last year I helped him, and the hope was that I was going to be able to persuade him to take it off the forums. The forums, the system they use, it's super outdated. And what was happening was, we would lose people who would be interested in joining because they'd have to go through the sign up process. Yeah. Like we had people last year at Secret Santa who were trying to post the figures they got on the forum. They had signed up in August, they're getting them in December, and they're still not approved. And like, we're reaching out to them, trying to be like, guys, can you help us get this stuff going? And we weren't really getting anywhere. So I said to Wes, the Ethan Supley Customs, I said to him, like, man, we need to get this off this forum. Like, it's hard to communicate with them. The DM system is really challenging. And it's just, there's a lot of communication, and it'd be way easier on Instagram. So we ended up teaming up with, they did one on the Foosh in the summer as well called Summer Swap. It was run by somebody different, and there was no communication between us and the guy who ran that one. That's Draven Arts, another customizer. So I was already friends with him, and I said to Wes, why don't we just like merge this beast and do them together and move it to Instagram. So Draven ran Summer Swap. We're actually just finishing that up right now. There's 1 or 2 more reveals. I can't remember. And then we actually have some Secret Santa signups up right now. So July 31st is the last day to sign up. Right now we have 32 people signed up. Last year we had 40. I was really hoping to get it to 50 this year. I don't know if I'm going to get quite there, but we should be up to 40 by the time signups come down. And this year we got some very, very awesome talent signed up. We've got Face Customs, who's coming back, another really, really talented customizer. All our usuals are there, new collectors there. We're trying to get Morning Wolf, who's another relatively new coming customizer who is phenomenal. And so I'm working on a few other ones kind of behind the scenes too. So it's shaping up to be a really good year again, which is leaving me very excited for what's to come here. But we'll see how it goes on Instagram. I'm hoping it will be easier to manage for sure, just from the communication piece alone. But yeah, if anyone wants to follow along, the account is at Legendary Secret Swap, and we run both Secret Santa and Summer Swap off of that account. And this week, leading up to the deadline, I'm going to start doing like featured posts to showcase some of the artists we have participating.
Oh, nice.
So if anybody jumps in and wants to kind of follow along, you'll kind of see, who is going to be joining us for the event this year. But it's a super fun event, and again, like I love it because it's an opportunity for new coming customizers. Like again, that's where I feel like I got a lot of the growth in my abilities is from doing those, and again, like I got to have eyes on me that maybe normally wouldn't pay attention to me because and they were just paying attention because they're part of the event, so they're curious and following along, right? And I when we moved it to Instagram, we talked about maybe making it more of like an elite event, and I just kind of said like, I don't really want that. Like it needs to be an avenue for everybody to be able to shine, and it's something that I was really adamant on, right? So we have a lot of new customizers. It's a great place for them to be able to showcase what they can do, and a lot of them put their best foot forward when they do it too. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, there's I think that's a challenge sometimes for being a new customer, especially if you're really passionate about it. You want to get that exposure. I think you eventually feel like you hit that glass ceiling where you're like, I don't know what else to do, how else to challenge myself. And I think this is a great opportunity to kind of like, again, like you said, you put yourself out there. You found yourself in a situation where you had this request and you're like, how the heck am I going to do this? But you made a new friendship, and then two, develop new skills where you're like, okay, now you discover like this other side of you.
Yeah.
And
awesome. It's cool to get, and again, like another really cool thing about it is getting a figure from someone else.
Yeah.
If you've never had a custom from somebody else, it's really hard to place yourself in where you're at. Like I've had a lot of customizers who I've asked and I said, hey, do you want to do this? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough. I'm just like, dude, like you're good. Trust me. Like there's definitely less talented people participating in these things. Like, the only thing we tell everybody, you want to sign up for this to be part of it. Like, don't sign up for this to get an awesome custom. Like, treat this like a real Secret Santa. You don't go to work and think you're going to get the best Christmas gift from a work Secret Santa. You do it to participate and be part of something and to have a good time. And like, I don't do these swaps for what I'm going to get. I do it because I want to make something for somebody else.
Yeah.
And then it's cool to get something from somebody else. Have I had duds? Yeah, I definitely have had duds. I've been doing this for 8 years. I've been doing Secret Santa and Summer Swap for 4 of those years. Like I've done secret swaps like in that capacity probably 12 or 13 times. Half of those were probably not awesome, but like things that I got. But again, it builds my confidence up when I get that because I'm like, okay. Again, there's a bit of comparison. And then there's times where like you see someone does something and then you say like, how the hell did you do that? Like I got a sweet Earthworm Jim last year from Ace Outlaw Customs.
Oh yeah.
And it was amazing. And I reached out to him and I'm like, dude, I cannot place any of these pieces. Like, what is this? And yeah, it was just super cool, right? You find out what it is and your mind's blown when you're like, holy crap, how is this that? Like
it's crazy.
Go ahead.
The way you customizers, especially your kind, you guys are a different type of breed because just like diorama makers, we see like foam or like chunks of like garbage and we're like, oh, I can make that. Customers the same way. I have a couple of friends that they're like, oh, and he'll sculpt, and the end result, I'm like, wait, what the hell is this? Like, where did you even how? Like, I'm lost for words. And then they tell you the recipe and their steps they took, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. You are an architect. Like that is you're like the sorcerer supreme. It's amazing the skill that's out there.
That's the funnest part about like weekends like this, SDCC, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm a collector and I'm always looking forward to seeing what I'm gonna buy. But I also love seeing what new parts I'm getting to play with.
Yeah.
It's like one of the best things, and then like oftentimes I see something new and I'm just like, okay, this is going to move up my to-do list because I have some good parts coming and I can use this to do this and this and this.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, so we're looking at figures like, I can't wait to collect that. And Matt's like, I can't wait to take that apart.
Look at all these parts.
Yeah. But I think that Secret Santa thing is really cool because it's not only a great way to learn, like you're talking about, it's a way like you can show somebody your work. They'll show you their work, and like you said, you're looking at it, you're analyzing, you're like, wow, or you're having that conversation just to learn, like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to challenge yourself and kind of learn, but also the exposure part of it. Because you could have people that maybe you just swap with all the time, or like you said, you try to keep it more elite. You're going to be trading and swapping with the same people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that
it cuts down a lot too, right? It cuts away a lot of I like the big numbers. I said, I was really trying to push for 50 this year, but yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, it's fun. It's camaraderie. Again, it's the best parts of our community, and it's a cool thing to see newbie customizers who are posting these figures that they're so proud of, and then it's cool to see top tier customizers who are commenting on it and being like, dude, that is sick, that is awesome. Like, to me, when I was a new customizer, that was the shit I strived on. Like, that was the stuff that was like, it's what kept me going, right? It's like, you get a custom, like, I don't know if you guys know who Craig Warwick is. He's literally one of my biggest inspirations. And when we started talking like friends from customizing, and him giving me compliments on work that I've done, it's just like, I was like, I've made it. Because it's crazy. He's a humongous part of why I do what I do, right? So yeah, I feel honored when he likes something or comments on something or anything like that, right? It's awesome. It's very humbling, and it's a good driver to just say, you're doing a good job. You're doing, as artists, we're all our worst enemies too, right? I can know, Nate with your pictures and Prime with the arcades. Like, I can imagine that there's times where you look at something and you just beat yourself up because you're like, this is not up to standard. This is not up to my level. And then you put it out there and you get all kinds of love for it. And it's, it's cool, but we are our own worst enemies, really.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. And I can really relate to what you're talking about by having somebody that you've been looking up to make a comment on something they've created. Like, from a toy photography perspective, if I have somebody I've been following and that I'm inspired from, and then I get an awesome comment from like, dude, this is badass, or they'll DM me and like, really like this work. That's just so inspiring and encouraging. You're like, damn, like this is reinforcing why I'm doing this. And it makes me want to do even more. Like, let me set the bar even higher now.
Yep.
So that I can impress them again. It's like, it's such a great way. So like, if you're a customizer out there and you're scared about your work, or you don't think you have what it takes, like, just take a chance and enter in one of these Secret Santa contests, and you might surprise yourself. Like, I think the worst thing you can do is say that I can't, and not even take the chance. At least take the chance and see if you like it. If you don't, cool, then you've learned that you don't. But at least you don't have the why. Like, what if I actually tried? What if I would have just entered the contest? I think I would have done pretty good.
I'd love to eventually escalate it a little bit and get a sponsor. So what I'm going to try to kind of do next year is maybe see if we can get a sponsor who can then provide like some kind of a gift or something for like the winner, and actually they could kind of pick like their favorites of the bunch, and those people. And again, that's another level of motivation for some of these guys, right? Yeah. So so I don't know, like, I want to keep evolving the event. I really, it's basically been the same thing for 10 years. And then, last year I really tried to start poking Wes and being like, dude, we can make this so much better. Let's make this better. Like, and he's been very receptive. Thank you to him, because, this has been his baby for so long. And, finally he would like kind of let me jump in and help. And this year I'm kind of taking a much bigger lead in it. So I don't know. I love the events. I credit the event for a lot of my growth as a customizer, and I love to see new customizers. I love to see all customizers put their best foot forward, but it seems like the new customizers are the ones that really, really step up. Star Marvel, one of your guys' regulars, he joined Summer Swap, and he did this awesome, I can't remember the character's name, like the Afro guy. I can't remember what it was, but like, that's a really, really great example. He's a relatively new customizer, And he didn't just make a custom. He made the ultimate version of that character. Every look that character has ever had is represented in one figure. It's got 3 heads. It's got roller skates. It's got effects. It's got guitars. It's got hands.
You went all out.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that stands out to me. And I'm just like, you understood the assignment. That's what this is all about. You know?
Yeah. Like, it's easy to do easy, I say, is in a relative term, to do the bare minimum. But when you go above and beyond and really just try to wow people, that's what people remember. Like, damn, not only did you make a figure, that's what I'm talking about with your Battletoads rash. Like, not only did you make the figure, but you went above and beyond and try to make it as usable as possible and a best representation of that character.
In fairness, the most of that came because I was trying to top the previous year, which is when I did a Street Shark, which was another one that really, really got me a lot of new followers.
Yeah.
So when I did that Street Shark,
amazing.
Yeah. So that was again, I was relatively, newish customizer at that point, and it was I was wanting to again put my best foot forward. I was aiming to be the best one of the event. That's what I was really trying to push for. Yeah, and awesome. Battletoad came from that. It's like, all right, last year I won't say I won Secret Santa, but that one was very well received, and I was like, I need to do that again. Right. I need to do that. Yeah. So that's where a lot of that comes from, right? Again, it's me just trying to follow my rule of like, I need to one up. I need to do better this time.
Yeah.
Was that I'm going to butcher the name, Streaks, Blades?
Yes, Blades, Streaks. It depends on where you lived. But yeah, he had a different name. He had a different name in different countries, I think. But yeah,
I think you killed it. I love it. It's so cool and just unique, and that to me is what really stands out about a lot of your work. It's it's unique to you. Like, it really pops off the page. A lot of your stuff, like, you use bright colors, and you're not afraid to take the extra step. And I think that to me is what draws me to your work, because it's just so inspiring to kind of look at, like, man, he's not only just creating these figures on the same buck, but he's doing like these crazy sharks, and he's doing a Krang android body, and you're just doing all kinds of different stuff. Like, I can tell you're trying to challenge yourself.
Yes,
and that is just really cool.
Yeah, it's a big part of, like I said, of just the growth piece. It's I want to always be better than I am. So
yeah, and for anybody listening, as we're talking about all these customs, go check out customsbymatchu.com for his gallery. He's got everything in there.
Yeah,
and you can.
I think I've got from probably like number 11 to. I think I'm a little out to date. I've been really bad at. I started a YouTube channel in January, thinking like I'm gonna start doing like showcases to show my custom figures, completely underestimating the work that goes into this kind of work. It's just like I have a new appreciation for content creators, and it's like it sucks the creative energy right out of me. So I've kind of had to put a hold on it so I can just get through my current projects, and then I'm going to go back and try to fix it up. But I think in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go and update my webpage just with everything that's missing. There's probably about 6 or 7 figures that are missing from it. And some of it is like, some pretty good stuff in my opinion. So,
well, that's actually a great segue, because I was going to talk about your YouTube channel. You are on YouTube, and you post some really awesome and, again, unique content. I was rewatching your work in progress Wednesday live that you were having last night.
Yeah.
And it's just, it seems like your way of like, okay, I know I need to work on this custom, but let me make it just a bit more fun by having some interactions with people in the community. You had Anonymous Dude 123 in there, and some other guys.
He's everywhere.
I mean, guys all over the place. We love you a lot, Anonymous Dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and you're working on the figures, you're talking about different tools, and you're talking about different products that people can use. Like, hey, this has really helped me. Like, I didn't even know those little files, those little sandpaper files even existed, but it seems like a great way, like what you're doing. Yeah, you're working on like Night Thrasher's Gauntlet or something, and you're just filing a little part of that down. And it just seems really educational for someone that, like me, that has no idea where to even start with customs. So
only uses Sharpies.
Yeah, I mean, I use Sharpies, and the
he was on doing the IG live, and he was talking about the Secret Santa, and I was like, make sure you don't allow Nasty Nate unless you want Sharpie eyes. Make sure that guy is not allowed to. You're gonna get a figure and it's just gonna be googly eyes. It's gonna Sharpie, and he's gonna attach googly eyes on there. Yeah, horrible.
I got zero skill for painting
then,
or customizing. Yeah. Don't ask me to do any of that stuff. I just don't even know where to start. But I think it's so educational and such a cool thing that you don't have to do that, but you do it anyways, and you're willing to ask questions. And that's not the only thing you're doing, though. You're doing your shelf shuffles.
Yeah,
man, I respect the time and energy you take to make sure your shelves are always pristine.
Those shelves look gorgeous.
Yeah,
thanks, man. They're a little holy at the moment because I'm trying to empty this side here because I'm putting my Sentinel in.
Yeah.
And I got I work in the grocery industry, and when COVID hit, we had tons of plexiglass go up, right? Everyone did. But so our handyman got like super good at like handling plexiglass.
Yeah.
And he made a plexiglass shelf for me with like a hole in it. So I can actually have a Sentinel pass through a shelf.
Oh, wow.
So the bottom portion will be on the bottom, and then the top will be on the top, and then there'll be figures all around both of them. Because I can't really afford to lose the space.
Yeah.
I can't like take a shelf out and then have like half of a shelf empty. I can't afford to do that. So So the shelf shuffle thing came from, honestly, both of those came from really just trying to streamline a place where people can go to get questions that I get asked like 100 times. You know, like with my displays, I literally cannot even count how many times I get, how'd you get all those levels? What do you use for risers? What do you use for flight stands? You know, how do you get them all tiered like that?
Yeah.
So, you know, that was an opportunity for me to be like, this is how I do it literally from the bottom up. So you kind of get to walk. I mean, you can't see a whole shelf because literally a shelf takes me 7 hours. So, you know, I'm not live streaming for that long. But, you know, I try to start in different places. So sometimes I'll start with a bare shelf. Sometimes I'll start, you know, with the back row kind of finished and slowly working in. And but yeah, a lot of it again is just, it's meant to be educational. Same with the Whip Wednesday live thing. I used to do a ton when COVID first hit. I did so much live streaming on Instagram, and when I stopped, I had a handful of people, especially again, I'll name drop him again, Morning Wolf Customs. He's a really, really great new Canadian customizer. And he reached out and just said some really, really nice stuff to me. He was just like, honestly, man, he's like, I love your work. You are like my biggest motivation, inspiration. And he's like, I learned how to customize from watching you on Instagram Live. And it motivated me to do that because I was just like, I love that I can like motivate somebody and inspire somebody to create art. Like to me, that's especially when it's someone who like inspires me. Like he is an inspiration to me, right? So, so it's really it's a cool. It's exactly
full circle because
cool.
Man, the minute this guy started reposting and like he was reposting our episodes, and I was like, who the heck? And I was like, no, wait, it's not the guy I've been creeping and stalking for all these years. I'm like, holy, I got like. It's like when you see or you hear that you're the celebrity or the person you look up to like recognize you, I'm like, oh man, I'm on his radar. Like, you know, it's again, that's the whole idea behind what we do here. Why we have these interviews, the motivational Mondays, like all the content, because a lot of times, you know, Nate and our relationship started from him just buying an arcade, and then we hit it off. We had the conversations, but then we started talking more and more. And I'm like, dude, some of these topics that you and I are talking between the DMs or just on the side, I'm like, I think like there's more to it. I think there's a lot of us that go through some of these ups and downs, and we like, how cool would it be if we were to get somebody from the toy community and just sit down and talk to them, and then provide that insight, so like collectors can just sit there and just take notes or just watch and observe, because a lot of us, we all have those same ideas, but we don't have the opportunity to have these conversations so freely, because a lot of times I think we grow up in these silos where our normal friends and family don't really understand art collecting, or
you
know, a lot of these friendships are virtual, or they're like, hey, they live in a different state. But it's really hard, especially like in my era where it was hard, where collecting wasn't so acceptable, and now like everyone's a collector. Like, you know, it's very, very acceptable. But at the same time, I think those close circle of friends, they're only on social media. It's really hard to get that type of close-knit friends that I have on Instagram
in person.
Yeah. So it really, blossomed the idea of like, hey, let's bring this to the forefront so we can let everybody know, like, we want to create an inclusive environment so we all have this type of dialogue on a consistent basis.
Well, I got into your guys' podcast when you guys had Cheney on. So I got into the Toy Migos when COVID, again, when they were doing quickie minis. That's kind of when I got into them at first. Yep. And then all of my love for all these other things kind of came out from it, right? So you guys had Cheney on, and I was really drawn to I thought the interview was really, really good. And then I kind of listened the next week, and I think he went back to just like a topic. Yeah. And I love the idea of having a concentrated conversation about something relevant in our community, because I try to push people to you guys, especially new collectors, because it's you guys have your topics are super valid. Again, like I think Dan, I can't remember if it was Dan or Adam, but one of your recent guests kind of said like the episode where you guys talked about the why. Oh, it was Paige. Dan. It was Paige.
Oh, Paige.
And,
Paige.
Mm-hmm. And he talked about how he really liked that episode, and that one really spoke to me as well, because it's like it's such a collecting is can be such a whole, and it can be like it can be such an energy suck, like, and it's just really focusing on why we do what we do. It can really bring you a lot more enjoyment to this hobby, and I think you guys do a great job at kind of capsulizing.
Awesome, thank you.
Those little things, right? Yeah. And I don't know, it's just a different topic. Like I know you guys do toy news and stuff, and I'm not saying that's not relevant. It is relevant, and it's fun. But I do like the different spin you guys do on the podcast. It's unique, and it's targeted to specifics, and I think it's educational while being entertaining. And I mean, plus you guys also have a really great chemistry too, so that also helps. But it's just it's different, and I like that, right? So
thanks a lot, man. Really do appreciate that. I say this a lot, but it's a labor of love for us, and to even get feedback or support from everyone is just, it's awesome, because I'm doing something that I'm enjoying already. So the fact that people enjoy that back is cool. I like your customs too. Yeah. Like when you see people that are enjoying your work, it's just, it's more reassuring to keep doing it.
Totally.
And I have genuine interest in learning about other people in the community and things that I don't know about, like customizing, so why not have somebody like you that's an expert to help educate me, and then hopefully other people that are learning get some kind of education from that too. Because I think there's
or just even get inspired to try it themselves.
Or get inspired to try it. There's people that are afraid to say like, I don't know, we just fake it. Let me fake it this whole time. And that's not the way to go through it, because eventually somebody's gonna be like, all right, this guy doesn't know the hell he's talking about. He's just trying to put on a show here. But if you can just admit like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, and I need help, and I want to learn, that's what we're trying to help people do here. And you got people like Matt who are willing to talk through DMs or whatever it is. Like he talked about, like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask somebody, especially somebody that you're, inspires you. Those are probably the best people to ask.
I will tell you that I answer 95% of my DMs, and I would say the ones that I don't answer are usually just by accident. It's just like I'll open my phone and my Instagram will be open, and it'll go to a message that I click off of because I'm trying to do something, and I don't notice it, right? But like, honestly, I answer almost every DM I get. I love to talk shop, and if somebody wants to talk it with me, then I'm there for it. So
that's awesome.
My wife doesn't love it, but
I mean, she supports it, which is great. It's cool.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah, she's in your corner, even if I think it's really just I want your attention too.
Yes.
I don't want you to spend all your time with your toys and your podcasting and your customizing. I want you to spend that time with me, and want to do that. I get it, because my wife's the same way.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's, we had an episode on that too, is recognizing those supports, that those are the people that make all of this possible.
Another great episode.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Another one that I really liked that you guys did was the haters one too. It came at a time where I was getting some hate about something from somebody. I won't draw attention to it, because and you guys, honestly, like, it was timed perfectly. I listened to it in the morning, and everything unfolded in the afternoon, and a couple of my friends started reacting, and I said, honestly, guys, like, you're only giving him energy. You're only giving him energy, and like, you need to just step away. You need to you just need to let it roll off your shoulders. It's not true. You just need to let it do its thing, and the people who are going to agree with him, we're not going to win those people over anyway. So You know, I mean, I think anybody who talks to me knows I'm not a jerk. I'm very approachable.
Yeah.
I'm very open to conversation. I'm open to criticism, you know, as long as it's valid and reasonable. I'm not going to like delete your comments or anything just because I don't agree with it. It's it is what it is. But like, yeah, it was perfectly timed.
Perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get that quite often more and more now. They're like, oh, this resonated with me so much, which to me, I just, it tells me a couple of things, but I tell Nate, I'm like, this is the biggest takeaway. It's like, it's more encouraging because it lets us know we do have a good pulse check on the community. And I really want to emphasize and put a spotlight and ensure and reassure those new collectors that, hey, you're stepping into a community. So just like be cautious how your interactions and how you treat the other person, because at the end of the day, we're all collectors and we all kind of have like these expectations of how we want to be treated. We don't want to burn bridges. It's so funny that, you know, there's trends that we start, good or bad, and we just want to like, we emphasize kind of on the why and your personal brand. And at the end of the day, it's like we're doing a lot of this, all of us, we're doing it because we love to do it. And it's like we don't have to do this, we want to do this. And the minute we take that out of the equation, like, then why are you doing it? Like that was how the conversation started. I'm like, hey, let's talk about the why, because I think we all go through these phases and these valleys as collectors, whether you're a young collector just stepping into it and you get your first Marvel Legend, or a collector that's been doing it for ages and you lose yourself, or you look back, you're like, how the heck did I get all this? Like, I'm not enjoying it anymore. It's not fun. Or like just buying it to flip it. Like I'm like, I think we've all gone through that. So why don't we shed light on that? So that way, it's so funny. Every time, almost every time that a certain episode comes in, I'll get a DM and be like, man, I just canceled a bunch of pre-orders due to this episode. like I'm happy, but then I'm mad at you. And I'm like, okay. And then like they'll send me the beef emoji. Like, yeah, like, thanks. Now I created a budget list. Or like, now I got
enablers.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is why you lost points. And then Kevin's like, Josh, this is why you're losing points. You're not enabling people. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm trying
to handing out tokens instead of points.
Yeah. Like, you're negative. I'm always at the bottom of the totem. But it's like, just, I think these are some of the things that we don't take it's hard to pause and take a step back and be like, okay, what's going on around me? Are my relationships around me healthy? Is my relationship with my significant other healthy? Is my relationship with my friends? Like, you got to look at all that and then be like, okay, is my collection healthy? Is my hobby healthy? Like, it's a balancing act. And you still got life like that throws these crazy curveballs. And so it's like, try to finding your identity within the collector world is really, really tough. And sometimes I think when we talk about these topics, and that's why we say in our intro, it's like the ups and downs, and there's going to be ups and downs, but when it's down, like, don't forget, like, you're not there alone. We've all been through it. We've all been to that crossroad where, like, I'm going to sell my collection, I'm out of collecting, or I hate it, it drives me crazy, and then we sell it and we regret it and we buy it
and you're like, no,
I should not have sold it. Or we go through these phases where you want to collect all the stuff that you grew up with. Like, I went through a phase where I was trying to buy a bunch of vintage stuff, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, there's so much more good stuff coming out. Let me let go.
Focus on that.
Yeah.
Let the vintage stuff just be in your memory. Like, there's little bits, right? Like, I have a few that are like that. Like, you know, like the old Toy Biz morph figure. That's like one of my favorite figures from when I was a kid, and like I still have it to this day. Like, I love it. I still love it. But you know, it's
3 heads.
Yeah. But you know, it doesn't like fit into my collection. You know, I'm pretty particular about how my shelves look. So like, I kind of have like space at work that I bring a lot of that kind of stuff to, where it's like more of just like a big old mixer of just random stuff that I either don't have a home for, or you know, stuff that I have nostalgia for, right? So
I know, I see your shelves and I'm like, oh, I gotta sell a bunch of my stuff so my shelves can look pretty like this guy, because this guy, I don't know.
The problem is they're full. Like,
I know they look pretty, but I'm like, I got beef with you.
Yeah, is your shelf like, are you like, you're very creative in the way that you maximize the space in your shelf, but is that to make sure that you're not keeping things in storage and not like just stuffing it away? Are you trying to like
a little bit? To be honest with you, it's kind of the time, because I don't really photograph. Like, I'm not a photographer, right? Like, I take pictures of my customs, but like, I literally hate it. Like, it's like the least favorite part. So it's more like that's the time I get to play with my toys. And it's like, I feel like that's the time where like I get to really showcase what they can do, right? Like, I mean, again, no shade to people who just line them up. I get it. I totally get it. But it's, you know, and I mean, just who has 6 hours to do a shelf? And when you have 17 shelves and you redo them all at the same time, it's, it becomes a 3-month job. Like it's just, it's huge, right? I've been doing this for, you know, 6 weeks now, and it's still, I'm still got 8 left. It's crazy, but it's how I showcase the thing I love, right? And it's you know, having them all in kind of action is kind of the thing. It showcases what I love about action figures and where they've progressed to. You know, we're at the point where we have figures that can literally do anything, like get into any pose. They got a signature pose. Yeah, we can get them in there. Like it's I love that piece of it, right? So I think the biggest thing is just like, that's when I play with my toys. And it's, but I mean, it's an art on its own too, is, you know, I'll set up a shelf and then I close the doors, I stand back, I take a look at it and I say, oh, I don't really like that little tiny gap there. I don't really like this little tiny gap. I go back in, I take it all out, I kind of shimmy things over just a little bit and put it all back in and close the doors and look at it and am I liking it? Okay. But yeah, it's all very systematic. You know, I know what shelves I'm doing in what order, and then you know, I at the end of the whole process, anything that I've gotten since I started, I then go back and just touch up those shelves and kind of pluck those new figures into those displays, and then I don't touch it until next year. It's it's an annual thing. So I just,
you know, that's crazy. Now that I'm hearing you like kind of describe that out, I'm like, when I rearranging my shelves, like that's when I feel like, okay, this is the time I get to mess with my figures. Like I'm not, I like in our previous episode, I told Nate, I'm not a toy photographer. I'm getting rid of a bunch of stuff that's in totes and like props and like, who am I kidding? I don't have the time to take pictures. But that's when I start messing with my shelves, I'm like, I freaking love it. Like that's when I get to mess around. I'm like, I've created like some movie pop culture shelf. I created like just, you know, like a DC shelf, but then again, I don't take pictures of it. I'm just like rearranging. Right now, I walk by my detox and I'm like, I think it's time to kind of mess with them again. Like I have teams and
shift them up a bit, right?
I love that. Like I love that. So hearing you talk about, I'm like, and every time I see your shelf, I'm like, I gotta go do some shelf updates.
It's an annual thing, but I love a fresh shelf, and it's funny. I you know, because I only share one a week, I use it for content, right? So it's like,
that's smart, man. Fresh shelf.
Again, you got to plan it. It's all in the planning. But I finished my NECA Toon. My Toon turtles have gotten out of control. I don't have enough room on one shelf, so I've now split them into heroes and villains. And I finished my villain shelf. It was the last shelf I did, and it is like probably one of my favorite shelves I've ever done. Ever. And I cannot wait to share it, but I'm probably still like 4 weeks away, right? I'm doing it in order. And I'm so freaking happy with how it looks, so I can't wait to share it.
That's cool. Yeah, and I think we all need some way to kind of appreciate the figures that we're getting. You know, it's such a big part of our lives, and we spend so much time trying to acquire, you know, and for me, that's where the toy photography came from. Like, okay, I'm getting these figures, I put them on the shelves, but I'm not really like enjoying them to the fullest. Or I want to be able to play with my figures, you know, as an adult. So that's what toy photography allows me to do. I can articulate and set up scenes and really just mess with it. But then my shelves become a mess because I'm taking figures off. Right? I'm taking stuff off, doing it in a photo. I'm like, let me just throw that back up now. Grab this one. I mean, you can see behind me, they're just kind of like a mishmash of stuff. You know, so I respect the time and effort that you put into your shelves, and it makes me like think about it a little bit more. Like maybe I should be a little bit more considerate in how I set up my stuff, and not just for being ease of use. You know, make it something that's like a display piece.
I will say that I've been starting to take more pictures just because of the YouTube channel. Usually, when I do Whip Wednesday Live, I shoot a thumbnail, like kind of how Cheney does, right? Again, we're always just picking from each other, right? Everyone kind of does something, and you know, I mean, again, I'm not in no way comparing my stuff to Cheney. I don't do lighting. You know, it's not meant to be that, but it's, you know, I like to create a thumbnail that's kind of relevant to what I'm going to be doing, and I'm getting to the point now where like I'm starting to like put aside little props and stuff that come with figures and putting them in like a little bin, so that way, like when the time comes where I want to take pictures, I don't have to go digging through a bunch of stuff to try to find what I'm looking for. I'm just, as I reorganize this, And I used to keep my accessories in this store over here, and now that I'm taking it out to put figures in, I'm trying to figure out a new way to store all my accessories. So I'm being smart about it in advance and trying to like divvy them up now, so that way when the time comes and I want to use them for specifics, I can. So
yeah, I think I saw that a little bit in your last Shelfie showcase that you did, where you had like this. I don't know what it was, but you had something that had all these accessories. I'm like, I like the way.
Yeah, it's like acrylic jewelry drawers I bought. I have 3 of them on a shelf. Yeah. But I mean, I've outgrown it at this point. They're so stuffed they don't even shut anymore. So I need to find a better solution.
Well, if you guys want to check out what we're talking about, the Whip Wednesdays or the Shelf Shuffles, or even which we haven't mentioned, the custom figure showcases, please go subscribe to Customs by Matchu on YouTube. I almost said YouTube. YouTube. Yeah, but he's got some great content, man. I know it's hard to mix that in with doing the customs and trying to stay productive while you're doing it, but I think we're all better for it. So, whatever you can pump out, keep doing it, because I think it's great work. And if you guys want to see
please subscribe. I'm trying to get those numbers up. They don't match my Instagram, so.
Yeah, I mean, your Instagram's crazy. You got like what?
30, it's ridiculous. I don't even know how we got to that point, to really be honest with you. No clue.
Come on, guys. You guys heard. If you found value, if you're finding value in what you're seeing, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you go follow Customs by Matchu. Let's match his numbers on YouTube to IG. Like, we gotta rally as a community. We're counting on you guys.
Right. YouTube's a grind either way, though. I think
I agree.
YouTube's probably one of the hardest places to grow yourself, because there are so many different varieties of content.
Yep. There's no shortage of it.
Right.
You gotta be unique. You gotta be different to stand out.
Exactly. It's not split into categories. It's more of just like, hey, whatever you type in here, let me start finding things for you.
Here's everything.
Here's everything for this topic. So it's hard to find specific people who are doing specific things. But yeah, I mean, if you guys like what you're hearing here and you want to learn more, definitely go subscribe to Customs by Matchu on YouTube. You will not be disappointed.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yes, please. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, we're not done with you yet, though, Matt. We're going to do
the show must continue.
Yes, we're going to do our famous The Dirty Dozen, which, since you are a fan of the show, I'm sure you know how that goes. We're going to give you 12 rapid-fire rounds of different toy lines, and you tell us what you think.
All right. I like it. Let's do this.
Let's spin the wheel. First one up, Mythic Legions.
I can appreciate what they are. I've never been a fantasy guy. The Cosmic Legions I think are really cool, but I don't own any. I don't have the space, and I mean, it really comes down to, it's not that I don't like them, it's just because I'm limited. Yeah, I'm limited on space, so I'm selective about what I buy. Yeah. I think they're really cool.
Nice. Star Wars Black Series.
I feel like they've taken a lot of missteps as of late. The price point going up, especially here in Canada, like they're $42 to buy a Star Wars Black, and I don't see the value anymore. I mean, I'm not getting rid of what I have.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with the selection I have at this point between Figure Arts and Black Series. So I'm at the point now where I've made a list of the characters that are not represented on my shelf that I want, and I'm just sticking to that list. So I'm definitely not buying like I used to.
Yeah. It seems like that's kind of like I've heard a lot of people say the same thing about Black Series. That feels like it's kind of gone downhill, or Hasbro's focusing more on the Marvel Legends stuff and maybe not so much Black Series. Then you got the 2 failed HasLabs, and which is not helping the line by any means.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, Nate, the problem with that is that like they're not listening. It's like, what is the biggest complaint about the Rancor? It's expensive, and the stretch goals are no good. Those were the biggest complaints. So what do? They come out with a prop that's more expensive. I'm not saying that it's not warranted. I know it's 2 lightsabers, and I know the running price. I get it. But listen to what people are saying.
Yeah.
Right.
They said Rancor's too expensive. So now you put something out that's even more expensive. And then you take away all stretch goals.
Yes.
So the 2 things that failed your first one, you focus this one around. Like, give your head a shake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird crazy for me that they make the lightsaber as part of the Black Series, because it's just not you can't use that with any of your figures. You know, that's for a life-size person.
Yeah.
You know, give me something that I can use with my collection.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think a lot of people are looking for.
And the crazier thing is, like, when I think of Black Series, there are so many great ideas that they could do for a HasLab that would fund. Like, so many. Like, do an X-Wing, man, you'd fund that damn quick. Do Luke's X-Wing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would fund in a week.
Yeah, Mondo.
Or less.
I said Mando's Naboo fighter. Yatu and Mondu.
Yatu and Mondo. Do you want Watu too? Watu?
I'm just gonna stop talking now.
All right. Next one is Marvel Legends.
Yeah, you know, they're still to me the pinnacle. You know, I love the consistency. I'd say consistency.
Yeah.
I love that you can put any of them with any of them and they all look like they belong. I like that.
Yep.
Would you say that's your most used toy line for customs?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I try not to work outside of Legends. I have a couple times. I usually regret it when I do. Because again, a big part of customizing is understanding what you're working with. And, you know, I know how Legends work. I know what can swap. I know, you know, using the base body system is great for customizers because again, you know, and again, you know, I know body types. I know if I'm doing someone who's like 6'1", you know, you can work with the Bucky cap, but if they're like 6'3", maybe you're looking at the Reaper Buck. You know, it's you know, you know, there's a consistency to it that just it makes it easier to customize when you know the information. So yeah, I love, you know, and to be honest with you, I don't think there's a team out there that works with their customers and their fan base like the Marvel Legends team do. I know they get a lot of slack for stuff, but I don't think it's warranted. Like, you know, even with the Spider-Man that came out, that No Way Home 3-pack of the 3 MCUs, you know, I saw a bunch of people trashing them for not having unmasked heads. I'm like, guys, what more could you ask for? Like, you're getting 2 brand new sculpts with pinless joints, fully textured bodies, with updated torso articulation, and you're still complaining. What is going on? Like, what is going on? It's crazy to me.
Never good enough for the haters.
Nope.
They'll always find something to nitpick.
Yep. I'm not saying I love every single thing they've done. They've done some real duds, but I would say they are consistently consistent, and I think that works in their favor in a massive way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well said.
Jurassic Park.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Jurassic Park fan. I love the first movie. I actually do a podcast with a friend on Saturday nights now. We just moved it, called Moose Milk Media. It's just me and my best friend from back home, and it's kind of our way that we get to chat every week. And we're going to talk about Jurassic Park Dominion this week, next week, and we're going to talk about Jurassic Park and why such an amazing first movie has never spawned a decent sequel. Because to me, no one plays in that avenue. Like, no one's doing movies about dinosaurs, so they literally have the run of the mill. They could do anything they wanted. And then, like, I don't know if either of you saw Dominion. I won't drop spoilers for anyone who hasn't, but like, I mean, there was some really great stuff in it. It was cool to see the original 3 back. There was really some cool dinosaur scenes, but like the overall plot, I'm like, what? Like, why? How did we get here? Like, why are we talking about this in a Jurassic Park movie? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I love the Jurassic Jesse being the amazing dude he is. He sent me a Amber Collection Velociraptor, which I love. I think it's very, very cool and very, very, very well done. I understand why they switched to 3/4 scale, because, you know, when you want to do a T-Rex, it's not really realistic at a 1/12 scale. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're cool-ish. You know, I don't think they're really up to the level of, you know, any of the Hasbro properties really, in terms of likeness and paint apps and stuff like that, even engineering. But yeah, I don't know.
Even that new T-Rex that just came out, the John Hammond one.
That one looks incredible. But,
that looks really, really good.
Yeah,
I've been seeing them pop
I'm
up
not
more
saying
and more.
that they're all like that. You know, it's more. My opinion is more based on the human figures. I think they do a great job.
Oh yeah, the human figures.
Yeah. But even I think they just showed that Ellie like yesterday or something at the Comic-Con thing, and it comes with a Dilophosaurus, which is also my favorite dinosaur, like Jesse's. And I think Dilophosaurus looks great, but I'm just like, again, you see the likeness, it's super soft. You see like even like the leg joints where they connect to the pelvis, and I'm just like, ew, what
they
is
stop
that?
at the humans.
they're just
we're all dinosaurs.
Weird. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's cool. It is what it is. And again, me trashing on it or whatever, it shouldn't really be held worth anything because I'm not like a super fan. So
yeah. I do love that we get big ass dinosaurs that can eat up.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Legends.
That T-Rex seriously looks beyond impressive. Like if I had space for it, I would probably scoop it up. And to be honest, if I walked into a Toys R Us or Walmart and they had it, there's probably a relatively good chance I'd scoop it and just bring it to work, and I'd have this giant T-Rex in my office. So
I was trying to convince my son yesterday. We saw him at the store. I'm like, look how cool he is. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, isn't he really cool? Don't you want him? Yeah. And I'm like,
your son's a huge dino lover too.
So he is, but he has like 4 T-Rexes. He has the big one. He has so he's like, why do I want to?
So he's T-Rexed out.
Yeah, he's T-Rexed out, and I'm like, no, you want this one, but nope. So I couldn't commit. I was like, all right, you lost.
I'm proud because your son's got a Focus, and he knows he doesn't need it.
And he's like, he probably doesn't even listen to us, but he knows.
He's got his why.
Yeah, he's got his why. He's learning.
Yeah, he is learning. He's staying outside the door taking notes. Next one is Mezco.
I don't collect Mezco.
All right, let's get him out of here. Let's get him out of here. That should have been my first question. Do you or do you not collect Mezco?
Yeah, and then it ends. Okay, thanks for joining us on the Figure Booth.
See you later.
Shortest episode ever.
The only Mezco I have is the Ghostbusters set.
That's a good set.
This is where I give them props. Is like no one does accessories like Mezco does. Like those props that those Ghostbusters come with are mind blowing. Like they are like when you get the little ectometer thing and the little tiny little things come out of the side. I'm just like, holy shit, that is really crazy. But I mean, my biggest thing with soft goods is like they work on something like a Ghostbuster because that's how they're supposed to look. But when it comes to the superhero-y stuff, for me personally, I look at them and I see dudes in feety pajamas, and it just doesn't work for me. Like it just even to be honest, like even Hot Toys, if that's up here, we can talk about that. But I mean, something about soft goods at a smaller scale, they don't ever really fully translate for me like a sculpted piece would, and they don't speak to me. So, and I always also worry about longevity. Like, this is a new thing, especially the detail that goes into some of them. Because, man, they're super detailed, some of those outfits. And I worry that over time with our articulation and stuff like that, that they start to deteriorate. And that would concern me for these being as expensive as they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid concern because a lot of the earlier ones do tend to have fabric that can fall apart. So, like you're talking, you're spending that much money, and then 4 years down the line, you're picking off pieces of pleather off the figure. Like, oh, no, please.
That would be a bummer.
It's ruined.
Yeah. So I don't know. I can appreciate for what they are, and I see why people see the value in them because, again, there's another company who really listens to what their customers want and execute on it. And like, because I see that, right? I see the Mezco community is massive, so they're doing something right. It's just it's not for me. The aesthetic's not there for me. So,
all right. Next one, G.I. Joe Classified.
I don't Joe. I've never Joed. But again, I can appreciate a good figure when I see them. I remember I bought Snake Eyes when they first came out because I was just curious of what they were doing and was beyond impressed. And then now it's just a very recent, I've been working with them for custom fodder. So I made that green jumpsuit Professor Xavier using a Duke. I used made Reese using a Gung Ho. They're very easy to work with customizing wise. They're very easy to take apart and dismantle and put back together. They're impressive. I will say they're for a line that I don't have any attachment to. I am constantly watching what they're doing and constantly being like, everyone else needs to take notes on what these guys are doing. They're doing it right. Like you get accessories that can all be stored. That's pretty damn amazing. Even like Lady Jane's head where she has like the swappable hair. Like, who else is doing that?
Yeah,
that's import.
Exactly.
Shit. That's
Yeah.
So
I love that Professor X you made, because it really reminded me of the animated series.
Yeah,
like that's how he looked when he was out on the field, like trying to help the team.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted that in my '90s display. So
that's really cool. You used the Duke for that, right?
I did. Yeah, I swapped out the lower legs with some MCU Doctor Strange ones, just to have like I didn't want to have like the knee armor, and I want them to have like more like boot style boots rather than like ones with like shin guards and stuff. So. But yeah, again, they're super interchangeable with the existing Hasbro lines too, so it works great.
Yeah.
Next one, 1/18 scale.
I don't have anything 1/18 scale. So yeah, I mean, I prefer 6-inch scale myself.
Yeah.
I've worked with a couple Marvel Universe figures for customs when I did Tusk, who is X-Men villain. Yeah, so he has these like gross underlings that grow out of his back, and I made 2 of them using Marvel Universe Wolverine figures.
Oh, that's really cool.
It was a pain in the ass to customize, but but yeah, I don't know. I just prefer the 6-inch scale myself. So
awesome.
No attachment.
Super 7.
I just kind of started digging into Super 7 a little bit. On Kevin's stream, I was on Unboxing Thursdays couple weeks ago, and I opened my first Super 7 turtle. Donatello is my favorite turtle, so I bought Donnie. And I was so
impressed.
Another
strike. That's 2 strikes. Raphael's the best turtle. We all know that.
You guys are both wrong.
Best.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna definitely disagree with you on Nate's opinion, because I know Nate's a Leo fan and I don't get it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Nobody likes Leo.
No, Leo.
I would say like out of all
just
the
so
people
vanilla. He's just so vanilla. He's
I know.
Honestly, man, again, like, you want to talk about nostalgia?
Yeah,
like, man,
right?
Super 7 knows what's up.
Crazy.
So, yeah, they're great. I also have the Masters of the Universe movie, He-Man and Skeletor. I bought them loose a long time ago on eBay. So I never got the opportunity to open a package up until I did it on Unboxing Thursday, and I loved it so much so that the next day I actually went out and bought Leo and Raph. I still can't find Mikey at retail. I don't want to pay more.
Yeah.
But I'll keep looking and hope that I can find them one day, because they're beautiful. They're beautiful figures.
Yeah.
And I thought the single joints would bug me.
They don't
at all.
Yeah.
Especially with the turtles. I guess not really with He-Man or Skeletor either, to be honest.
Or Thundercats.
Yeah, I have very little nostalgia for. I think I missed Thundercats or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I know what it is, but I just never watched it, and I didn't ever have any of the toys. So it's like I see them and I'm like, some of them I see and I'm like, oh, those are so cool looking. But yeah, they're expensive to buy for cool looking. Yeah.
Awesome. Next one, Mafex.
Yeah, I want to hate Mafex because I'm so annoyed by their release schedule. But at the end of the day, I get the figure and I'm bitter about it because I waited an extra year to get it after already waiting a year for it, and then I get it and I'm like, this is the best figure ever. So it's
what's
super.
Yeah,
like I got Endgame Iron Man after waiting for like 2.5 years or whatever the hell it was. And like all I wanted to do was be like, I hate this. And I got it and I was like, this is the best Iron Man figure I've ever had in my hands ever. Like, it's just so freaking good. And it seems like each one gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, my rule with Mafex is when I pre-order them, I pay for them.
Yeah.
Right when I pre-order them, because like I just cannot be at their release schedule, the mercy of their release schedule. Like I can't have 5 things drop at once and all of a sudden I'm dropping like $500 on toys. Like I can't. Yeah. I can't do that. So I pay everything up front. But yeah, I've had a few things that I've missed because I've been so sour about. Like so Wolverine's my favorite character. And I decided to skip brown suit Wolverine because at the time I had like 3 or 4 Mafex that were well overdue, and I'm just like so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? Screw you, Mafex. I'm not doing this. And then it came out, and I saw all the reviews, and I'm like, oh crap. So I ended up paying like $190 for it or something just so I could have it. But yeah, I love them honestly. Yeah. Like I love the hand options. I love the movement. I like how everything is like directly derived from a comic book. So I'm not a big DC fan, but like. The only time I've ever been tempted to buy a DC figure was I got to play with Hush Batman at my friend's house, and like I almost went and ordered it right then and there because it was
just so good. They're so good.
fun to play with and such a cool looking figure. And I love to hate them. So
yeah, same here. All right, next one is NECA.
They're another one who, like, I feel like value is the best word to describe them. Like,
Killing
I feel
right
like when I get a figure from NECA, I get my money's worth and more. Like, just loaded to the brim with accessories, alternate hands, alternate heads, deep cut accessories. You know, I'm a big Toon Turtle fan, and like, you know, we're at the point now where like we saw all these cool new things yesterday at preview night for SDCC, and I'm at the point now where I'm like, they've kind of run through all the stuff that I have nostalgia for. So I'm going to be a bit more picky and choosy with what I'm buying from them. But like, you know, I never in my wildest imagination imagined having a collection like I do of Ninja Turtles based off that cartoon. And they're so well done. They're so well executed. Again, like they've resolved the issue with distribution. They've resolved the issue with, maybe not entirely, but with the quality control.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest with you, like, again, I know they get a lot of hate for that, but like I own, I don't know, 70 NECA figures. I maybe have had one of them that has had a break.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I call that a pretty fair,
you
know, percentage if you really put it on paper.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love NECA. I love what they're doing. I'm so excited for Elf. I'm loving the Gargoyles line, even though the wings are just like out of control. But I still love what they're doing, and they're great. They're very worth the money, in my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you see what they're doing at STC, so you're like, how can they keep going this far?
Yeah.
Because to your point, like they've done so much already from the Toon line. And then you start seeing reveals. You're like, oh, yeah, I forgot about him. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Like, they're going so deep.
The cool thing, though, is that, like, they're covering all grounds. And, like, I like that, right? It's like our Toon line is getting to the point where, like, we're going to get into the D lists, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like, today they showed, you know, they've been pumping out the Mirage stuff. And then they're like, okay, now here's the Archie comic stuff. And now today they showed the Image stuff. And I'm like, man, those Image Turtles they showed, those are so awesome. Like,
I'm about to get those.
I don't need another set. I don't need another set of Turtles. But man, they're making it super hard for me to turn a cheek. Like,
I'm gonna give me those Turtles in the Triceratops that they showed off. I'm like,
oh my god, he looks so good. They all look awesome, honestly. Yeah. Like they're the hard one for me to turn away from, because I'm like, I don't have room for you anymore. Like, we're full. We're full at the NECA house. So like,
NECA's the girl that we dumped. She went out, got super hot, and then it's come back and like, look at me. It's like, okay.
Like, I was done with you already. Stop tempting me.
I'm like, I know you're crazy, but come on, give me another chance.
I'm married now. I can't.
Don't make me throw everything away for you.
Little
tempting.
And NECA's like, I'm going to show you a good time. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
I may have some QC issues, but we're going to have a good time.
Look how accurate this nostalgic figure is.
Yeah.
I would love to see them tackle something like the Tick.
Oh yeah.
Or Ghostbusters, like the real Ghostbusters. I would love
that
to
out of the universe, man.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, they just showed off some of the dinosaurs figures.
I saw that again. Like, I have hardcore nostalgia for it. Thankfully, it's not something I feel compelled to own. But again, like, you look at that thing and it's literally like they took it out of the screen and put it on the table.
Yeah. And I'm on the same. I'm in the same spot that you are. But then I'm like, it looks so good. I almost want to have it just because it looks so freaking good.
Totally. Right. That's like the movie Turtles, though. I remember when I first saw them, I had them. I had nowhere to put them. I hadn't redone my shelf, so I just put them on my wife's bookshelf, and they would just stare at me while I would customize. And I'm just like, these are eerily realistic. Like, it's bonkers. So, I actually got a Tick custom from Trevor Zammit, who is the head on the Turtles line. He used to do Secret Santa. He's taking a break this year, but he's always been a special guest for us.
Oh, if NECA does Tick. That's it.
He did a Tick figure for me in custom packaging with, like, in true NECA style, a jillion
that would be
accessories. Killer. He came with a cereal bowl with a spoon. He came with, like, the TV.
See?
He
full
came
circle.
With, like,
cereal bowl. Get your cereal bowl.
Snap, crackle, pop, baby.
Man, you got me excited. I need the Tick now. I need the Tick.
Oh man, I hope maybe one day.
All right, last one. Toddy Mac McFarlane toys.
I think so again, I don't DC, so it doesn't hit me, and I'm not a big Spawn guy. I feel like Todd's one of those guys. I love him because he's Canadian, represent. But I feel like he's another one where I feel like if he just listened, he's great at what he does.
Yeah.
But man, if he just listened to what his fans want, I honestly think he could give Marvel Legends a run for their money. I honestly do. Like, people are talking like, please don't do the side eye. Please give us alternate heads. Give us alternate hands. We'll pay a little bit more for it.
Yeah. Give us something other than
they
Batman.
have the engineering piece, like no thigh cuts. Like, come on, what are you guys doing, right? And it's just like I feel bad for DC fans because I'm like, what do you guys have? You get 2 Mafex figures a year, 3 Mafex figures a year, and it's like the scaling's everywhere. Like, why is Robin the same size as Batman? Why is why are Wonder Woman's legs like 70% of her body? Like, it's stuff like that, right? I think if he just listened to what his people wanted, he literally could be at the top of the game. I feel like he's too stuck in his own mind on what it's supposed to be. And I mean, to each his own. It's called McFarlane Toys. If that's what you want to do, then fill your boots. But yeah, I think that there is a ton of potential that's just sitting on the sideline waiting to be exposed. So it's a shame, but also it's McFarlane Toys. He can do what he wants. So
there you have it.
Yeah,
that's it.
You've made it through the Dirty Dozen.
Woo!
You get your possible toaster. It may or may not come in the mail.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Ah, dang it!
Every time I come on, I'm gonna be like, "Where's my toaster?"
I'm gonna send it to you, piece by piece.
He's
Just
really
send
gonna
me a
start
3D printed toaster. It'll shut me up.
I'm about to make some toaster pins or something.
Well, hey man, we really appreciate you having on, Matt, and it was just a great time getting to know you and just learning more about you. So thank you so much for being with us. Like we said, guys, if you liked hearing this content, if you want to learn more about Matt or see some of his customs, subscribe to him to Customs by Matchu on YouTube. Follow him on IG, same name, or just check out his customsbymatchu.com for his gallery. You can see everything that he's worked on, or just do a combination of all the three to show the guys some support. And if you're interested in showing up your skills, maybe think about entering that Secret Santa contest and throwing your hat in the ring.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to hit me up too. You're welcome. I run the legendary Secret Swap account as well, so you could do it on there or on my own account. So, but yeah, we'd love to have more new, especially if there's anyone out there lurking in the shadows who are like, "Ooh, do I do it?" Yeah, man, just hit us up. We'll look at you. We'll see what we can do, and hopefully we can find a place for you. So
awesome. Thanks again.
But thank you guys. Thank you both for having me. Honestly, this is great. I get the sneak peek of the episode. I get to have it today instead of Sunday. So.
That's right. Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
And what a great episode. Such a fun conversation.
Wow. I'm like, hopefully you finished your bowl of cereal by now, everyone out there. If not, you worked on your second or third bowl. But man, was that like a bowl full of knowledge? That dude is freaking amazing. And he's a listener. He's one of the figure maniacs out there. So if you guys, again, find value in what you guys just heard and listened and watched, to our audio listeners and those that watch us, make sure you hit the like button. Tell us your thoughts. What did you like? What did you try customizing? What were some takeaways for you? What did you think of the episode? What do you want to see more of? Let us know down below.
Definitely hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you guys think. Or if you guys have other ideas about customs or what works for you, what doesn't work, we'd love to hear from you. Share that knowledge. That's what this is all about.
And that's going to bring us to the end of another episode here at the Figure Booth. Lastly, I want to do one last plug. This is, as it's coming out, this is going to be the last week to order or get your name on the list for the budget dios that we talked about in our last week's live. So this week, we have one last week going. If all the spots are not filled in, your budget dials wave 1. There's bunch of other waves coming. I got a ton of ideas for you guys. And again, the whole concept is just bringing some affordable dials that doesn't break the bank. So make sure you take advantage of that. You guys, as always, can follow me all under Prime to the First on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now even TikTok, all under Prime to the First.
And you can follow me, Nate, aka FigureFan_Nate on Instagram, TikTok, occasionally on Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
See you guys next time.